Hi everyone, I'm Sara Hoffman. I'm the Technology Integration Specialist for Washington Local Schools in Toledo, Ohio. Thanks for joining today to learn all about Looker Data Studio. This is a Google product and it is free and it's amazing. So before we dive in, I want to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be doing today. In the live session at the Ohio Google Conference, I'm going to have everyone start and complete a Halloween-themed Google form. This Google form will then feed directly into a spreadsheet, as we all know, and then this spreadsheet will be used to populate the Looker Data Studio. So go grab some Halloween snacks and sit back and get ready to learn all about Looker Data Studio. Before we dive into our spooky Halloween Google form, let me explain quickly what Looker Data Studio is. Looker Data Studio is a free tool through Google that turns your data into beautiful interactive dashboards. Think of it as a way to give your school data a makeover. Instead of dry spreadsheets, you can create colorful, easy to understand reports that show you important trends and insights into that data. So I discovered Looker Data Studio about 3 years ago before it had Looker in the title. All right, let's take this spooky survey. So just like Google Slides, you can embed links into your Looker Studio. And so right here, we're going to dive into this spooky survey. So I'm going to click on this link. And then here is the questions. So I am just going to type this out real quick. So we will be Candace Corn. Oh, I should have come up with a spooky district name. How about Haunted Hill District? We will be in Toledo, Ohio. And I have a drop-down menu because it is important that we have the right state, and you'll see why in a minute. Now, the next question, what is your level of expertise with Looker Data Studio? So Candace is feeling pretty good about it. Are you an early bird or a night owl? I'm an early bird. How many cups of caffeine? I like about 2. My superpower, I wish I could fly. Fear, clowns for sure. And then Halloween candy, what is my favorite Halloween candy? I'm going to say Kit Kats. And then I'm going to submit. Now you can see right here, after you submit the form, you get a link to the Looker Data Studio. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the Looker Data Studio and I'm going to click on the Google Summit page. And this is going to take our information and bring it to life. Now, I have 5 responses. I know that I have another one, so I need to refresh my data. So I'm going to refresh the page. So hopefully when this pops back up, it's going to say 6. Yes, it worked. That Google form dumped into this spreadsheet right here. This spreadsheet is what's feeding that Looker Data Studio. So what I love about Looker Data Studio is with this visual representation, I get a snapshot of what this data is telling me. So right now, I could look at night owls. So I have night owls. 66% of the people that did the survey are night owls. 33 are early birds. So over here at favorite Halloween candy, I've got Kit Kat, and notice when I hover over it, so I see the percentage, but then it also shows how many people said that they liked Kit Kats. These are called just scorecards, and so this takes all of the drinks. So if I go back over here, we've got caffeine, so we've got all those numbers, and what this does is this will take that and say the average. So what's the average of everyone that took the survey? And then Data Studio, so overall, that gives me an idea. Everyone's at right around a 3 with their expertise, which is right in the middle, so it's hard to gauge. Let me scroll down a little bit. So this is, oops, I need to put a title on this. But this one is superpower. And then over here, this is a really cool one. And this is location. And so it's got a little dots where everyone is. So we got Toledo, Ohio. We've got Perrysburg. And then I've got a little dude that I could drop in here. And if I want to see what it looks like, I can look around. So that's pretty slick. And then I could just go back. So that's cool. And then down here, this is an emoji cloud. So you've heard of word clouds. And because I didn't put words in the question, I just had emojis. So if you look back at the question, here it is, fear. So I just had the emoji. So that's what it's pulling. So just like a word cloud, whenever that emoji shows up more than once or more than another one, it's just bigger. So it's just a fun way to represent information. And that took a little doing. That was a little harder. And then right here, you've got everyone that completed the form, their district, and then a breakdown of everything. So if you can see fear, we've got the fear of clowns is 3, so he's a little bit bigger. And then you've got 2 people with ghosties, and then 1 spider. So he's the biggest. So real quick, I can look at the data and be like, whoa, we're all scared. The majority of us are scared of clowns. So I hope that you're blown away as I am with the Looker Studio. But let me show you something even cooler. Is all of these charts are linked together, and we can filter the data. So let's say I'm curious with our night owls. I want to see, I want to dig deeper into the night owls. So if I click on this part of this graph, it will filter everything else. And so here are the 4 night owls. And here are the candies. That's interesting. They're equally divided between all of the options of candy. That's interesting. And then of those 4, so notice I've got this scorecard right here, and it's saying 4. These 4 were in Perrysburg, Sylvania, and Delta. Of the night owls, so this is just the night owls, they drink an average of 2.5 cups of coffee. Now I'm going to click on the early birds. So the early birds drink less coffee, and they have a little bit higher knowledge of Looker Studio. And our early birds, there's 2 of them, they were split on Kit Kats and Hershey bars. And one wants to fly and one wants to talk to animals for their superpower. And here's where they live. If I scroll down even, I can actually identify those 2. Are we early birds? Yes, those 2. And notice I wasn't sure, but when I hover, it says included right there, which that's helpful because sometimes I'll forget what I'm clicking on. And with the little chart at the bottom, you can export. So this little skinny snowman right here, that allows you to export the information to a Google Sheet. And then, you just click export and it will name it. And then it will give me, it will give me a Google Sheet with just that information. So I have this set for the early birds. If I want to go back to everyone, I just go up here to reset, and that puts all the data back. So I've got my 6 responses. You can put in drop downs too. So you have drop downs, and this shows every city that people put in the Google form. And I can get a real quick snapshot. I've got 2 people from Maumee, and then it shows the different areas. But if I just want to say, let me see, who are those people from Maumee? Because I live right by Maumee. It will zoom into Maumee, and then I can scroll down here and see Count Dracula and Jack Sparrow. They are from Maumee. And they're both, evenly. We got spiders and clowns that they're scared of. Now let's look at how this Looker Data Studio was created. And to do this, I need to go back to the spreadsheet where all of the data is housed. All right, so here we are back at our spreadsheet that we started with. There is a new way that you can start a Looker Data Studio, so I'm going to show you that, and then I'll show you the old way. Google always has a ton of different ways to do things. So right from the spreadsheet, you can click on Extensions, and right there under App Scripts, you have Looker Studio. And when you hover over it, you can create a report, view sample reports, or learn how to create reports. So I would encourage you to click on Learn How to Create. For this example, I'm going to click Create Report. Now, it's giving me some tips, and this is very important. To unmerge all your cells, and then to format date fields as dates. Select the source sheet. So if you have multiple tabs at the bottom, so right here I have Form Response 1, but I also have Sheet 1. So I need to make sure that it's grabbing Form Response 1 and not Sheet 1. And it is. Use first row as headers. That's the way I have my sheet formatted. Include hidden and filtered cells. I always click that just to make sure. And then I leave this blank, and then you just click Create. So as you can see, I didn't do anything with this report. This is Google just thinking, hey, here's 2 charts that you might want, and here's a couple drop downs that you want. And they even put a little text box right there, which is so nice. So you can start customizing it to what you want. So first name, we don't want first name as a drop down. I'm going to click on this so that I can change it. So here are the first names. That would be kind of a silly drop down. So I've got that highlighted. And right here is setup and style. It defaults to style, but you always want to kick it back to setup. And then you've got date range, leave that blank. So I'm actually going to delete that just to show that it'll still work. Now, the control field. So right now it's at first name, but I want it as city and state. So I'm going to take this, and I can do this 2 ways. I can just drag this over here, or I could click on it, and it's going to bring up every header in my Google Sheet. So that's what these are. This shows the Google Sheet. It's weird that it changed the name, because the name of the Google Sheet is Looker Data Studio Training, but it just time-stamped it for well, that's not even today. I'm not sure why it called it that. Well, anyway, you can just pick what you want, and the metric is record count. So what that means is when you click on this, you're going to see a count next to Maumee, Toledo, Delta. If you want that off, you can just click off, and then you don't have those numbers. I actually like to have the record count, so I'm going to go here. And notice that one's in blue because it's not one of the headers from your spreadsheet. Now let's go down here. Now this is order. So that means the order that you see it when you click on the drop-down menu. So right now it's got Toledo first and Delta last. So it's doing reverse alphabetical order. So I want it to be in alphabetical order starting with A. So I'm going to do ascending alphabetical order. So click, now we've got Delta on top and it's in alphabetical order. So that's what it means, order, alphabetical order. And then down here you can see it says add a filter. I do not feel that I need to filter anything in this. I'm going to put everything on this sheet. But I could create a filter where I only have the information about the early birds, let's say. I'm going to slide over an example that I did for my school. So I'm going to slide this over. So this is an example I did for my district. And this is based on the 4th grade math Ohio State test scores. Okay, so this is spring 2024. And if you've ever seen that spreadsheet from OST, it is pretty insane. And we have a huge district, so I'm at Washington Local. We're a huge district. Now, I changed all of the information on here, so none of this is reflective of Washington Local Schools. I changed all of it. But right here, so this is 4th grade math. This is one of the pages of my 27-page Looker Data Studio that I did for my district based on the Ohio State test scores. But this is just the 4th grade. So here I have all of our schools, which of course these are not real school names at Washington Local. I have all the schools. So let's say I just want to see Grimwood Institute. I can click only. And let's say it's G4 math. So I can see here's how we did multiplication, fractions, geometry, modeling, and reasoning. And let's say I want to have a group and I want to work with these kids that are at or near making the cut on modeling and reasoning. I can click on that slice of the pie, and then it shows I've got 12 kids here. I can go down here. Here are my students, and then I could grab these students and meet with them. Once again, that export is a great resource. Now, if you notice, this is just 4th grade math. So if I click edit, this is where those filters come in. I just wanted 4th grade math for this spreadsheet. So let me click on this chart right here. Down here, you can see I filtered for 4th grade math and I filtered for the spooky schools because I created these spooky schools and I didn't want the actual schools showing. So I created these filters. If I click on edit, I'll show you what the filters look like. They're really self-explanatory. So I'm going to click on edit so you can see what this filter is. I named it G4 math because that's what it's called in my spreadsheet. And it's real simple. I want to include, and then this test name, I come up with what my filter is pulling from, and I can actually type in test name because there are so many headers in that spreadsheet. I want it to contain, but you have all of these other choices. So I want it to contain. The reason I don't do equal to, because I've done that and it's really finicky, I guess you'd say. So I just say contains and then G4 math. And G4 math is what it has in the header of that spreadsheet that I'm pulling for. So this will create that filter so that on this page, on this chart, and you can see I have that same filter here, you're only seeing grade 4 math. So when the grade 4 math teachers come in, they can just pick their school and then go for it. You can also, in this drop down, you can search for specific students. So Boris, so if I want to see Boris, I want to see how he did. I've got, okay, he did not do well. I would pull him aside and then I could reset. So that's an example of how filters come in. Okay, so let me show you the first Looker Data Studio that I ever did. So let me, here we go. I'll scroll this one over. And this was pulling from this spreadsheet. So I had this spreadsheet when I first got the job. I had this spreadsheet that had all of the digital resources we had for our district. And I was trying to get my head around all of these resources that we had. So I'm like, cleaned up the spreadsheet, which is really important to clean up that spreadsheet. And then I created this Looker Data Studio. So it has all the products, the grade level, subjects. How do I, the teacher, access this? If there's an access link, it's in there, and that's just pulling from the spreadsheet. how do my students access it, and then special instructions, and then I have training resources. So we have 80. So if I am a ELA teacher, I'm going to click off of everything. I'm going to always click all, and then ELA, and then click off, and here are all of my ELA resources. And then I could, in this chart, you can click grade level, and then it will sort by grade level. So that was my very first really basic Looker Data Studio, and I sent this out to the staff. Let me show you one more Looker Data Studio that I did for our district. It's based on discipline. So this is our discipline data tracker for Whitmer High School. We need to clean up this spreadsheet that is being pulled to create this. We have a lot of people entering the data that this is relying on, and the reporter name. So I want to show you. So we've got B. Peters twice because someone put it in as just B. Peters. Someone else put it in as B. Peters, and then B without a space Peters. So it's pulling as different people, but it's the same teacher. What I find when I'm creating these Looker Data Studios is I have to look at the spreadsheet first and make sure that the data is consistent. So in this example, we are working to clean this up, and we're working to train the people that are putting this information into the system, that they are putting it in as, let's see if there's one. Yes, this is the way we want it put in. Last name, comma, first initial, nothing else. Once we get there, and we got a lot to clean up. But, garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. Another tip that I have when you're creating your Looker Data Studio is set your theme and layout first. So up here, theme and layout, you can see it's right there, and it gives you some options. So I'm going to click on that one. That's kind of nice. So I'm not done. What I can do is, that's a nice start, but then I could go up here to custom, and then I can pick the fonts that I want it to use. And then it applies it to all of them. I can pick the report background. And in the report background, on mine, I had gradient, and that's an option here. You can pick some gradient if you would want to do that. I don't know what that's going to look like. Ooh, yuck. All right, I'm going to undo. And right here is the border radius, and that just means the curve on the side. So I don't like the straight angles on the drop down. So I'm going to go here and just make it 15, and it just rounds it. It makes it it's easier on the eyes. So this is data style. So this is the chart palette. So right here, these pieces of the pie, that's what that means. You can change that. So you can go in and set that, and that just makes it a lot easier so that when you add another chart, you don't have to go in and keep changing all of the things. So every chart, when you click on every chart, it has a setup, which is the data part, and then it has the style, which is the lipstick and rouge. And up here at the top, no matter what I click on, you can see right here, it's got chart and then a little shark tooth next to it. If I click on that, I have all of the different kind of charts that I could have. Like I said, I'm relatively new to this, so I stick to drop downs and my donut charts or pie charts and my column charts. But let's say I'm like, I don't like it going sideways, I want it going up and down. I could just click and then change it. One thing I just recently learned is this chart title thing. If you click on it, then you can type in a chart. You can type in a chart title, and what I was always doing was I was inserting a text box, which is silly. So now I learned that I could just do that, and I can make it bigger. So you must click Save and share in the upper right hand corner to save your Looker Data Studio. Very important. All right, for this last part of the video, we're just going to go through the toolbars, and then I'm going to show you how you can send out and share your Looker Data Studio with other people. Like most Google products, they have a word heavy toolbar up here, and then we have an image heavy toolbar down here. We talked about theme and layout. This pause updates, I don't ever pause the updates on my Looker Data Studios, because the beauty of it is whenever I update that spreadsheet that is feeding into the Looker Data Studio, then I'm good to go. The default is every 15 minutes, but if you click on the little pencil, like if I hover over my data and there's a little pencil there, it brings up this and I can refresh the data. I could change that to every hour, every 4 hours. But 15 minutes is the default. And if you remember, after we did the survey, I had to manually refresh the Looker Data Studio to grab that because I immediately wanted to look at the new data. But that's possible. So you just go in and you just manually refresh the page. These next 5 are if you want to insert a shape, a line, or a text box, or an image to your Data Studio. If you click on the little shark tooth next to image, it'll show you can upload from your computer, or if you have the image URL, you could do that. And then that symbol right there is a URL embedder. The controls is how you control the data. So drop down list, filters, things like that. Sliders are pretty cool. Check boxes, so you could play around with those. And then this community visualization, that is how I made that simple word cloud. I'll put a link in the resource section of our Looker Data Studio to an article on how to set that up, but your district might have it blocked. So just a warning there. Then we have add a chart. So this is the lifeblood here where you add that table. You've got the scorecards. Let me talk about the scorecard for a second. All right. So we've got average number of caffeinated drinks per person. If I click on this, I want to click on the number, go over here to setup, and I've got the timestamp, which I really don't need. I could delete that. I'll just show you that it doesn't matter. And then I've got caffeine. Notice next to it, it says average. By default, though, it will say some. So you can change this depending on what you want. So if I click on the pencil, when I change it to some, it gives us a total of how much everybody drinks altogether. But I thought it made more sense to do average. But you do have those other options, and it's that easy to switch between those. So that is the scorecards. I do like the scorecards. And then the other charts, you've got tables, you've got the scorecards, time series, bars. This is that donut chart. I do like the donut chart, so I could put a little image inside the donut. And I like donuts. The Google Maps, so those are right here. The one that I use is called a bubble map. And that is good. One thing, if you're going to use the bubble map, make sure that you set it up so it's city and state. The last time I did a training like this, I only asked for city, and then there's Dublin, Ireland, and someone was from Dublin in the training, and then it wound up dropping that pin in Ireland instead of Ohio. So that's why now I put city and state when I'm using these, the bubble map. Okay, so that is that. Now you can add data right from this part, and that will pop up these options. Now, I only use Google Sheets, so I don't know about BigQuery and all the other things. I just use it with Google Sheets. And And then you can add pages, so that's important to know how to add pages. So when I click on the page 2 of 5, it will bring up the page view. And as you can see, I have another activity in here that I have hidden, and I have something called the playground. So that's where I basically duplicated the page and I started messing around with different options. But I wanted to be careful because I didn't want to totally mess it up. So I have a lot of playground Looker Studios where I just play around. So you could hide these, and the way that you hide your page is you just click on the skinny snowman, and then it would say hide. So let's see, let me click on the welcome one. There you go, hide in view. So I can see it because I'm an editor, but you cannot see it. So that's pages. To add a page, you just click on this little plus, and you can add a page. All right, so that's pages. You can zoom in. Undo is the best button ever. And now there are more advanced things under the word heavy toolbar. So file, well, we've got themes and layout, but there's report settings. And so you can dig into report settings. One thing I do like about report settings is you can set a filter for an entire report, which that came in handy when I was doing the OST Looker Data Studios for each building. So when I was doing one for Monac, I set the filter only Monac, and then I didn't have to go into each individual chart and do that. So that is adding a filter to the entire thing, and that's under File, Report Settings. I just recently learned about that. You've got version history, make a new report, make a copy, download as a PDF. Don't know why you'd want to do that, but whatever. The edit page is, pretty self-explanatory. View, you can look through those. I haven't actually gone through much of these. At the bottom, it is refresh data, so that's another way to refresh your data. You can then insert, so you've got all of these options to insert different charts, bubble maps. So it's basically everything that we saw here that was divided into chart and controls. And then down here is text and images, but like I said, we have those icons right here. Page, so if you want to add a new page, you can also do it this way, or Control M. You can duplicate the page, obviously delete a page, and then hide. Arrange is very similar to Google Slides. So if I click on an item, I can go up to arrange, and then I could bring that forward. I can send it back. And yeah. And it is like organizing things. I think it's similar to Google Slides. Like I can grab this stuff right here if I want to make sure that it is in the middle of the board. I just move it around and I get those little helper lines. And then resource, this is where I can manage my filters that I have if I want to see all the filters and I need to edit any. And then to be honest, I don't know what that other stuff is. And then the help, here's beautiful help. This is wonderful. I'm always going into the community forum and asking questions. And then also Learn Looker Studio. So this is a whole website devoted to helping you with Looker Studio. All right, let's see what else. All right, so you've got your first Looker Data Studio and you want to share it with maybe your teachers. So if you want to share this with other people, you just go up here to the share button, and this is very similar to other Google products. Is I just click share, and then I have the option where I could share with specific people. So I will share this with me, and then I can notify people or not. So I'm going to turn that off, and I could add more people. But I also have the option to make this restricted, so it's only shared with me. I could open it up to everyone in my domain. I could make it unlisted, which means anyone on the internet with the link can view it, or I could make it public. And when you make something public, anyone on the internet with the link can find and view it. So usually I'll keep it within my domain or do unlisted. I'm going to open that up to unlisted. And then I could copy the link and then share it with other people. You can always view. You see this little view? That's a preview. It's always nice to check it out to see what it looks like. And then you could, jump back in and edit. So that was Looker Data Studio. So I hope that helped with an overview of what Looker Data Studio could do. And I hope you enjoy the other sessions at the conference and have a great day.